Welcome, everybody, to Music Biz Monday. My name is David Schwartz, and on behalf of the New Mexico Music Commission Foundation, thanks for joining us today for our panel on collaborative songwriting. Music Biz Monday is brought to you by the great folks at Candyman Strings and Things, New Mexico's premier full-line music store and education center. Leading our discussion today about how, when, and why songwriters collaborate is Music Commission Foundation board member Phil Moon. A little bit about Phil. His music career started in the 1960s as a guitarist in high school and college bands. Since then, he's enjoyed a 40-year career in the music and recording equipment business, working for a number of innovative companies, including MXR Innovations, Yamaha, JBL Pro, and Link Studio Technology. Phil and his wife Carol retired to Santa Fe from Southern California in 2016. Since then, Phil has maintained his musical performance activities and currently plays in the Santa Fe-based band Roadhouse Prophets. I'll turn things over now to Phil, and he'll introduce our panel.
Willie Nelson Mandela, Rogers and Hammerstein, Pink Floyd, Crow, Western Man, Adam West Duty.
Our first guest today is Sean Heelan. Sean is a prolific New Mexico-based award-winning singer-songwriter whose music and lyrics are reminiscent of Leonard Cohen and Steve Earle. Sean's albums include Floodplain, produced by John Kurzweg, Crown of Coal, produced by Grammy winner and legendary producer Malcolm Byrne, as well as many other songs produced by multi-platinum producer Scott Matthews. Floodplain won the category of Best Rock CD at the New Mexico Music Awards in 2009. Last year, Heelan's New 52 was a 10-minute weekly radio show on KBAC hosted by Sean, in which he featured a brand new unreleased song every week for all of the year. And this year, every Friday, he hosts an online show sponsored by Santa Fe Brewing Company. As a performer, Sean has shared the stage with John Hyatt, Michael Franti, Chuck Prophet, the Bodines, James McMurtry, Junior Brown, the Flatlanders, and many other notables. Hello, Sean.
Hello, Phil.
So, collaborative songwriting. You know, this is something that you historically have done all your own writing, but you've had some very successful collaborations. Tell me a story of a particularly successful collaboration.
Successful collaboration would be the first time I was able to actually co-write with somebody successfully and have a song come out the other end. I had tried prior to writing with J-Boy Adams with other people, and it was unsuccessful until I met J-Boy, and he asked me if I wanted to write with him. And we sat down, and there was chemistry. It was very successful. It went quickly. The song ideas were solid. Chorus ideas were solid. Everything about the experience was A+. So that was my first successful. I call that successful, maybe not financially successful, but successful insofar as I found a songwriting partner, somebody that I know I can sit down with and write.
What was the name of the first song you guys did?
The first song we did was called My Share of Bleeding.
Okay. A medical song.
A medical song with lots of sutures.
Oh, okay. Very good. And you said before that you had several collaborations that didn't work. Why didn't they work?
Lack of chemistry, maybe lack of ability on the other person's part. And I'm saying that kindly. It's just got to try to find people that are in a similar ball field or playing arena as myself. And up until that point, I hadn't found anybody that was prolific, capable with their instrument. Compositions needed a lot of work, and I don't really feel like pulling somebody along with me. I want to work with somebody that I consider to be a peer in the industry. Okay.
And when you do collaborate, how do you handle issues of ownership, copyright, and so on?
Ownership, copyright, if it's, I look at it equal splits 99% of the time. If somebody comes to me with, a title and they want me to write the song, then I might talk about having more ownership, but at least giving a third to that second party. If I write with 3 people, it's equal splits, usually across the board.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about the Buddy Holly songwriting festival you were in.
Oh, the retreat, it was great. It was the inaugural Buddy Holly Songwriters Retreat. And I got a call from J. Boy Adams, of all people, and asked me, he said, we need another writer here now. Can you drive to Lubbock, Texas tomorrow and join us? So I was invited as a guest, honorary guest, along with several others, to come in and write. It was fabulous. So the idea and the premise behind it was each day, writers were randomly picked and assigned to each other. So there would be 3 writers in a group, and that group would go off to some location in Lubbock, Texas, and write for the day. Then at the end of the day, the song would be performed at a Lubbock landmark. Like one night we played at Buddy Holly's in Buddy Holly's auditorium. First night we played, I performed at the Buddy Holly Museum, and played a great place called Art Cannon. So there was an immediacy about the writing. So you had to come up with something, and there had to be a song to perform at the end of the day, which was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And who were you paired with that first day?
First day I was paired with Peter Donegan, the great Lonnie Donegan's son, and a girl named Tessie Lou Williams from Texas. Peter's from the UK. So we wrote in a bank in Lubbock, Texas, and came up with a fabulous song. We were done in about 2 hours, so we really had the rest of the day to kind of mess around and work on some other stuff as well.
Was the bank open, or is this the closed bank?
Yeah, the bank was open. Unfortunately, we didn't realize that the conference room we were sitting in, the conversation got a tiny bit crass at one point. We didn't realize that the conversation could be heard in the next boardroom. So they moved us further away, and then apparently none of the writing groups were invited back to the bank for the rest of the week. So I guess it doesn't get more rock and roll than getting kicked out of a bank.
A learning experience for everybody.
Absolutely.
Is there anybody that you'd like to write with that you haven't written with?
Oh, yeah. If the wish list, if somebody said anybody in the world that I could write with, sure, I would write with Mark Knopfler or David Gilmour. Toss up.
Okay. That's a good short list.
I would say so.
How has collaboration changed for you in the age of COVID?
Well, it's changed because we're doing this. Yeah, I mean, here we are. Normally, you and I would probably be sitting in the same room recording this. So it's changed insofar as we have to be virtually distanced. In some respects, I think it's not a bad thing. I'm performing and doing this also. My live show happens to be in this format as well. Mm-hmm. It's changed for the better insofar as I think it gives me as a songwriter a little bit of space to write and retreat into my little cave, and then come back with more to the idea and do it quickly. I can share with anybody on the planet. So I'm writing with Peter Donegan right now. He's in the UK, and it's a very, very easy thing for us to do.
Mm. What do you consider to be the pluses and minuses of collaboration?
Pluses of collaboration are, I know oftentimes writers get stuck in their own 3-chord or 4-chord song, or in their own lyrical quandary. They find cliches that they get used to. It can kind of shake a writer out of their comfort zone and into a more creative spot. I think the other plus of co-writing is there's constant critique available. And it's not a normal type of critique. It's more of, a real conversation to try to find something better. So the conversation really, really does help. Mm-hmm. The minuses of collaborating, I don't really see any if the collaboration's strong and there's chemistry. So I don't really see any minuses there. The other real plus, is if you're writing by committee or you write with a couple of different people, the chances of that song getting much greater exposure is there.
Okay, good point. Have you had any disputes while collaborating, and how'd you deal with them?
Minor dispute on the first day at Lubbock and at the Buddy Holly Songwriters Retreat. The dispute was over a cliche that popped out in the verse writing, and I was pretty much letting. Listen to me, I'm kind of a controlling. I'm that guy. I'm like Beth Nielsen Chapman, man. You get in the same room with them, it's like, we're gonna do this. So I wanted to challenge the other writers, to come up with another way of saying that cliche in a fresh and new way. Still get the point across and have it become successful. There were minor butting of heads. which led to certain challenges. Like the person who presented the cliche said, "All right, well, it's bridge time. Good luck, write the bridge." And it led to a really, really, really strong song and a great bond between me and this other writer, because the song turned out better because of it. So there wasn't a huge conflict by any means, but there was a little bit of a flash of, but I liked this idea. How can we make it better?
A little bit of creative criticism that made the song better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. In a collaboration, what comes first, the words or the music?
Yeah, good question. I personally approach a song, I'm open to whatever. I'm open to, if I have a poem sitting before me that I wrote 25 years ago, I'll grab that, and hence I've got words. Or I'll grab a guitar and know that there's a song waiting for me there. When collaborating with other people, it's important to pay attention to their strengths and try to play to those strengths to start. So if a person is a much better guitar player, hand them a guitar, or a much better piano player, hand them, put them behind their instrument so that they're comfortable and feel like they can really contribute right out of the chute. I think that bolsters the confidence in the process. Whereas there are other people who are lyricists only, not composers. And if they're a much stronger lyricist, then to maybe start on their end and work in that way. I think it's about finding people's strengths.
Okay. Are you drawn more to one or the other?
No, either. I'm happy doing either. It doesn't matter to me. My guitar, to try to not get stuck. See, I collaborate with my guitar. I look at my guitar as another being.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it, I pick it up, I will detune it, I'll capo it in a different spot to find a different voice and a different way of playing something. And I know there's a song there. So I know my guitar is strong. I have to show up.
Okay. Yeah, I've got guitars that are stronger than me as well.
I hear you, man.
Oh, man. Last question I have for you is, what advice do you have for a first-time collaborator?
First-time collaborator, jump in, do it. If there's somebody that you like, a performer or a songwriter, and approach them, ask them if you can write a song with them. Maybe have a couple ideas up your sleeve to start, and be absolutely willing and open to have that idea shot down within the first 30 seconds and an entirely new subject matter or concept being presented by another songwriter. I don't think there's anything bad about it at all. It's we can do together what we can't do alone sometimes, even though songwriting tends to be a very lonely prospect and something that I've done alone for many, many, many years. But it's opened up the horizon. I lift my eyes up and I see a horizon far beyond Santa Fe, New Mexico. I made a lot of friends from all over the world because of this. And as a result, I'll have gigs in Europe. I'll have gigs in Ireland. I'll have gigs in London. It just opens up a lot of potential doors. You never know where it's going to take you. But I highly recommend jumping in the pool.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've already got one in the works.
Okay. Is it titled Collaborative Songwriting?
Well, it's me collaborating with my guitar.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks, Phil.
Piece by piece, piece by piece.
I'm joined by Busy McCarroll. Busy is a vocalist, guitarist, songwriter, producer, arranger, instructor, and studio co-owner with her husband, Baird Banner. She's the president of the Santa Fe Music Alliance and has recently been appointed as a commissioner for the New Mexico Music Commission by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Busy is an award-winning songwriter and performer, winning Best Song at the New Mexico Music Awards for Piece by Piece, the theme song for the film by the same name. Also winning ASCAP's Special Honor Award 2 years in a row, and the New Mexico State Song Contest for her song, Oh Fair New Mexico. As a performer, Busy has led many popular New Mexico bands for over 40 years, including her current band, Busy y Los Big Deals, the Queen and I Acoustic Trio, and the High Hippie Associates, a 4-piece vocal group. She's recorded numerous albums and has sung and arranged lead and harmony on over 100 recordings. Very good. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you today.
Thank you. Pleasure to talk to you, Phil.
We're going to talk about collaborative songwriting, and I'd like to start off if you could tell us a story about a particularly successful collaboration that you've had.
Well, one in particular that I'm proud of is one that I wrote with Kathy McGill. She's in Albuquerque. She's the director of the African American Heritage organization, I guess it's called. I'm not sure the exact name. And she called me and asked me about performing at a women's conference in Albuquerque with then Governor Susana Martinez was the governor at that time. And so we said, well, why don't we write something? Why don't we write a song? So we wrote a song called "The Women of the World," and we wrote it over the phone. Really, I came up. I said, let me work on this, and then I'll call you back. And so then I showed it to her, and then she added some stuff, and that was the way we did it. It was like right now would be Zooming, but this was a few years ago. I don't know. Then maybe you could Zoom then, but we weren't Zooming because we just weren't thinking of it. And since then, the song has kind of has a life of its own. It keeps kind of coming up. We think, well, that was just for that one particular event, but it keeps coming up, and people want to use it, and we haven't really recorded it, but we should do that. And but we keep getting asked to perform it at Women's Voices concert, and I think we did it there, and at a lot of events now, the Now organization for a national organization for women, at one of those events, and it just kind of, because it's something really close to my heart, women's rights. So that is why I think that's a successful collaboration.
Okay.
It always keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, it's got a life of its own. That's great. When you start into a collaborative songwriting situation, what ground rules do you put on the table for copyright and ownership and that type of thing?
Well, we do, every time I've ever written with anybody, we just say it's going to be 50-50 because we're both in there in the room, both. And I work with people that I trust. So I realize, sorry, the phone's ringing and I'm not going to answer it. Speaking of Kathy McGill, it's Kathy McGill. I'm looking at the number.
Oh, there you go.
Psychic connection. See, the song, I'm telling you, that song. Yeah, 50-50. And because I work with people that I trust, and know, I have never done one of those, let's meet people and write a song together. Well, actually, we did do that with a songwriting workshop that we had with myself, Kathy McGill, Susan Clark, and Brother E. And I didn't know Brother E that well, but I knew Kathy. And so whatever we wrote, we knew that we would share that 4 ways. But yeah, it's always just been 50-50. I don't want to go, I wrote the words, you wrote the lyrics, because everybody adds something always,
Right. Okay. What do you feel are the pluses and minuses of collaborating for songwriting?
I'll say the minuses first. The minuses are, for me, it was kind of scary doing it at first, writing with people, because you're exposing some vulnerability. And also you're kind of exposing a little bit of your soul too, and your heart and everything. And that used to be, it's easier for me now, but when you're first writing with somebody you've never written before, you're like, am I going to have some ideas today? Are they going to have more ideas than me? Am I going to feel lame? So there's that. And so that was a little bit kind of scary for me, writing for the first time with people. And then the pluses, there's a lot of new ideas, and you go places musically that you may not have ever gone before. And it once you get in there with someone else, it lifts up your desire to write a good song. Not that I don't always want to write a good song, but it just puts you on your best game.
Mhm.
And I have better work ethics because when it's just me, I'm like, maybe I'll write it today or maybe I won't. But it's like, they're going to be here at 11 o'clock. And I can be lazy when I'm writing alone. But when I'm writing with somebody, I'm just give it a little bit more of my A game.
You told me before that you've had a songwriting group that has met there at your studios, Kludget Sound,
Mhm.
and tell me how that came about and what that's like.
Well, that was an idea of Kathy McGill's, my friend, songwriter and musician in Albuquerque. And she just said, I have this idea of us doing that, and where do you think we can do it? And said, what about the studio? And we were going to do it at her house in Albuquerque, but this was kind of a middle place to do it because some of the people lived in Santa Fe, some lived in Albuquerque, Cedar Crest, and then here in Cerrillos. And so we just kind of thought of ideas of what we're going to write about, and um, just kind of let everybody have um, input. And it worked well because everyone's real respectful. Everybody really respected and was respectful of each other's abilities and talents. And so, we wrote a couple of songs. We didn't do it for a long time, but that was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. And it was more fun than I thought it was going to be because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. Because I'd always written alone. Well, previously, I've been writing with people for years and years, but I'd never written with more than two people.
Have you ever had a dispute when co-writing, and if so, how did you resolve it?
Kind of had I don't know if you'd call it a dispute, but a one time I used to write with somebody that would often take credit for writing song and not give me credit. Not legally, not down in writing, but personally. Um, so that was something that was unsettling. And then we had a falling out, and it was kind of just felt like when you write with people and you do music with people, it's like they're family. They become family. It's like a marriage. So it was kind of like a divorce, and we just really didn't want to have anything to do with each other, and so there was an attorney involved. But then we just, after a while, just dropped it, and I really don't do those songs, so it kind of settled itself.
Mm.
It's best to not have to get into those situations if you can avoid it.
Well, yeah, they're always going to happen though sometimes. How has it changed in the age of COVID to collaborate with people?
I haven't written a song with anyone since this is the pandemic, but I'm recording, so we're doing that, and uh, we're doing that remotely, some of it, and the couple of days ago, our bass player Howard came in, and we didn't have any contact. He just went right into the recording room, and Baird and I, my husband, stayed in the control room.
Mhm.
So we weren't in the same rooms together, and that's how we've been recording. Um, so we did that collaboration, but it wasn't writing together. But they always add to the song, musicians do. But as far as collaborating, I teach a singing songwriting class at Turquoise Trail, and now we're doing it via Zoom, and it's been great writing with the kids. It's been really important for them and helpful for them and for me, just to keep projects going and keep ideas flowing.
Mhm.
And we've written 3 songs together as well, actually, they wrote songs about Zooming and themselves individually, and then we wrote songs, um, one about the pandemic and getting out of 2020 and getting in a time machine to 2021. The song's called Time Machine. Then we wrote another song about a goat head the other day, a funny song, and
Okay.
yeah, about a goat head, and so it's been really fun collaborating with them. It's actually been kind of cool because we all have these ideas and we're just sharing the ideas. And there is the mute button if somebody, I'm in charge of the mute button because I'm the teacher, so I get to have that if somebody's going off a little bit too far. But we've been writing some really fun songs with my kids class. It's called Thunderstorm Club.
What's so the end product is you're going to do a CD with them of all the
Yeah.
songs?
Yeah, we're going to record. We've recorded before, and now it's going to be a little bit different. We'll have the songs pre-recorded like we did before, but they'll come in one at a time and just go directly into the room to record. And everything's a little bit harder and takes more thought because we can't let our guard down with this.
Right.
So yeah, so it's a little bit different. Some days I just flow with it, and other days I'm just like, oh whoa, wait a second, I forgot my mask, or whatever that is. But I think that it's been just good to be able to do this with the kids. And back to the question, we recorded I think it was a couple of years ago in the studio with one of my classes, and they won an award for the song at the New Mexico Music Awards. And this time we're planning to record, depending on everyone's schedules, maybe next month, maybe November or December.
Okay. Is there anyone that you'd like to collaborate with that you haven't?
You mean like in the whole world?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Paul McCartney, Joni Mitchell, Dolly Parton, John Prine. That's that's not possible anymore. Jimmy Webb, Stevie Wonder, Robert Plant. There's a bunch of people that I appreciate their music and their songs, and maybe hopefully I'll even get to collaborate with Sean, because he's a great songwriter. And I haven't really heard Michael's songs very much, but I know Sean's are really great, and I'd love to write with him sometime. But I'd be kind of scared.
But you got to be quick if you're going to
I
collaborate.
know. I hear he's really quick, and
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I think about it and go through the feeling. He'll have 5 songs written by the time I'm coming up with one line, probably.
Maybe he'll speed you up and you'll slow him down. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you is, what advice do you have for first-time collaborators?
Just be open, to ideas, and not to take, this is like in life, really, not to take anything personally, because really nothing's ever about us.
Mhm.
And I would just say, and have fun, just really enjoy somebody else's input and their creativity and their ideas and the energy that they might have to offer, and just be open to ideas.
Okay,
There's so many ideas.
good. Well, very good. Thank you so much for your time. Got a lot of good stuff there, a lot of good advice, and appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks.
We all want something for nothing, like nothing ever went wrong. We want it all. We want it all for the price of a song.
Our third guest today is Michael R.J. Roth from Rio Rancho. Michael R.J. Roth has been writing songs and poetry since childhood, growing up on the shores of Lake Erie in a blue-collar town. He's been called a cool, dark troubadour, his songs evoking the influence of Leonard Cohen, Gordon Lightfoot, Johnny Cash, John Prine, and Jason Isbell. He was the lyric winner of the 2019 NSAI Song Contest, the Great American Song Contest, and the Gold Award winner in the 2018 Mid-Atlantic Song Contest. He is featured in the Great American Song Hall of Fame. Past songwriting awards include first place lyric winner in the Unisong International Song Contest, the Austin Songwriters Group and the Dallas Songwriters Association competition, as well as 2 honorable mentions in the American Songwriter magazine. He has released a number of stripped-down folk Americana albums and singles featuring naked acoustic guitar instrumentation and his growling vocals. These are available on his website, michaeljroth.com, iTunes, Amazon, and streaming services, including Spotify. Michael, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. It's great. Just want to make a note. It's michaeljroth.com, or if you can't find that, it's easyheroes.com. They're both the same.
Okay. All right. Very good. Today we're obviously talking about collaborative songwriting, and tell us a story of a particularly successful collaboration that you've had.
I kind of feel like all the songs that I've worked with other people on have, turned out, in my estimation, of course, pretty well. But the Price of a Song was one that won a lot of awards, of course, and that was for the lyric. And then I collaborated with a lady named Erin Michelle, ERYNMICHEL.com, if you want to find her. She's a really great songwriter in her own right. So we collaborated on the music for that. And, that was the final product. I was very pleased with that. But, I've been working with a number of people. I think I probably have a dozen people that I, co-write with. It kind of started with me, sort of as a natural thing with Harry Wolf when I was playing up in Santa Fe back in the 80s, and we were performing together. So it just was really not something I really had to think about. We just worked together and we wrote a number of songs together, and we still do. Starting in like 2016, playing open mics, hanging out with other songwriters who are really good. I got to know a bunch of people, and we we wrote songs together, and that we got, when you get to know people, I think that's when you kind of feel like it's more natural and amenable, to write something together. You like each other's stuff, and you think, hey, maybe we can synergize. I mean, the whole reason behind collaboration, or specifically co-writing, is to write more songs and to write better songs. And also because it's fun, because, songwriters, I think, are kind of peculiar, and we have a lot of imaginary friends, and other songwriters, get us better than than most people. So it's like, yeah, that's your play box, your sandbox, is to get in and write music together. I have, occasionally worked with people that I've met online and so on. But for the most part, it's been people that I've hung out with and known. And I think that it just makes it easier. In Nashville, they call it, your songwriting partner has to be like a good hang, somebody you want to just hang out with and do stuff with. So that's a real important factor in it.
When it comes to collaboration, how do you deal with copyrights?
Well, generally, what I tell people up front is I use the Nashville split, which is equal shares, 50-50 or whatever, how many people are involved. I think that, that you can do it any way you want, and I suppose if somebody gave me a song and, maybe I added one line and they asked me if I wanted credit, I could, it's like, this doesn't have to be 50-50, that's okay. But generally speaking, you come together with a song and you are working on it together. I think it makes it a lot easier. That's the philosophy behind that Nashville split, is that if we don't have to worry about who's getting credit, we don't have to lobby for our own parts, to be, so that we can get a bigger share. It's like we're trying to work to make the song the best song it can be, and we'll do that no matter who gets more stuff in it, So the phrase they use is like, if you're in the room, you get credit.
What do you consider to be the pluses and minuses of collaborating?
Well, on the plus side, I think, like I said, it's you write more songs, you write better songs, um, and because you enjoy it, that's those are the main things. Another thing is that by working with somebody else, it's like you're connecting not only with your own fans but with their people as well. I don't like the word fans, but like community or the audience, the listeners, the
Reach.
people
Yeah.
that like your stuff. And then so you hook up together, and then you're expanding your audience somewhat. It's kind of a grassroots thing, but I think it's really nice. And it also, you every time you write something and when you write especially with someone else, you learn something more. It's like like when you hear a great song on the radio, you think, I gotta I wish I'd written that line, or I gotta do something like that. It's like so you try to, but it's like when you're working with somebody, and it's like you're learning from each other at the same time. It's kind of like a mixed martial arts kind of thing.
Have you had a bad collaborative experience, and what did you learn from it?
I don't know if I had any bad ones, but I think one of the problems I have had is, you hand something over to someone and then you don't hear back for a long time. And it's like, well, they got, I mean, their own lives and their own stuff, and they're writing their own songs, and they're probably writing with other people too. So every once in a while I'll make the rounds and I'll say, is this still live, or should I move it on to somebody else? Like the Streets of Seattle, I know there was one line that it was a combined line we had. It's like from the chorus about Streets of Seattle in the misty morning rain. I can't even think of my own song now. I can't remember, but there was something about a guy leaning on a lamppost, uh, hanging out like the Holy Ghost. So that original line was Mike Ryan's, who was the co-writer on this, and but hanging out like the Holy Ghost was mine, and he had wanted to drop that out, but then I talked him into sticking it back in, and it actually turned out to be like the line that everyone notices and likes, about the song. So sometimes you have to give and take, but it's like that works when you have somebody who's themselves a really good songwriter, and they can recognize when it's at least acceptable, even if it's not their favorite thing.
When we talked earlier, you said that there's sometimes you have a lyric written and you have a co-writer in mind. Does that just sort of pop in your head, or does that start at the start of the song, or how does that happen?
Well, not usually at the start of the song. Start of the song, I'm just trying to write a song. I'm just trying to come up with an idea or something like that, and then um, the person sometimes I'll have in mind has to do with maybe like what I hear in their style. Like they could bring this to life better than I can, with what they do. They have certain talents or whatever. So that usually happens after I have developed the idea to some extent,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking, oh, this would be a really good song for this person to sing. Now let me see if I can talk them into it. I've got several out with people that are whose styles and performances are very different from mine,
Mhm.
and so I look to that. Or like if I think this has to be a piano song and I can't write piano,
Mhm.
this needs to be a little more sophisticated or jazzy or something like that, something that's way beyond my musical abilities, and so I'll send it out to them to do that.
Very good. And the last question I have for you, what advice would you have for a songwriter who's going to have their first collaboration?
Well, I would start off, if you've never worked with anybody before, by going to like a local songwriting group, where people sing their songs to each other and get feedback in the song group. And the rule in those groups should, if not always is, it should be that whatever suggestions you get from people are totally freely given. So they have no claim on the song at all whatsoever. So it gives you a feel of, like you can get some feedback in your song and some advice, but you don't have to give up your song at all. Because I think that's the hardest thing about collaboration is giving up total control over your song. You've got to end up sharing, and that's a good place to start. And then there are online groups that you can go to. NSAI, the Nashville Songwriter Association International, is a really good place to hook up. They've got a whole bunch of resources, and you can get song evaluations for free if you're a member. So that's a good thing to do. Just getting some kind of feedback on your songs. Open mics, is another way, but then you're not getting like songwriter advice. You're getting, just feedback. But both things are good. So getting feedback on your songs is the first step. And there are songwriting communities like Songwriter Pro, and I think Songtown, and a few others that where you join together, and the idea is to look for people to collaborate with, and so you can kind of feel your way out with that. But I think the best thing is if you are in a setting where you're hearing other local people sing, and you like something that they do, you might want to approach them and say, hey, do you want to try something out together? They might approach you. That's another thing. So I would start with that, and then you can work. Songwriting music is a community event. In any case, I mean that's one of the things about it, and you have, I suppose, it's not just one community. It's like a series of interconnected communities. So, you got your radio stuff, but you also have there's a whole folk community. There's country. There's the Texas people. There's the California people. And here in New Mexico we have the Western Music Association, which is like a subgenre of I guess country western. It's a fairly small community and it's unique, but it's got some real special things about it. So if you manage to hook up with them, you might find your community with that. We have in New Mexico, we have a number of cultures. So there's a lot of the Spanish language stuff and everything, and that's a whole different community. Even though there might be crossovers and all this.
Well, I appreciate your time today. That's a lot of good information, a lot of good advice, and certainly enjoy your music.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed being on here, and I look forward to seeing more of your series.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. So there you have three very different talented songwriters talking about how they approach collaboration. All good stuff. Back to you, David.
I'd like to thank our esteemed panel, Busy, Michael, Sean, and Phil, and also thanks to Trish Parks behind the scenes, and our sponsor, Candyman Strings and Things. Thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to see you again next month. Be safe.